Welcome to A Course in Miracles, where you'll discover health and well-being through inner peace. Your host is Eloisa Ramos, EFT master and author of Beyond Self-Esteem, Discovering Your Boundless Self-Worth. Using EFT, the Ramos clearing technique, and the principles of A Course in Miracles, you'll learn how to open your mind to healing and to all that is inherently yours: deep fulfillment, vitality, joy, and inner peace.
Welcome to today's program. Is freedom from fear possible? Is it healing? The continuation of the study of Chapter 2 of A Course in Miracles. My name is Eloisa Ramos, and I am very happy to be with you, exploring issues of health and healing with the guidance of the teachings of A Course in Miracles. Today, we are focusing on what A Course in Miracles calls level confusion and the belief in magic from Section 4. These are important ideas to understand. Page 23 says, quote, "Sickness, or not right-mindedness, is the result of level confusion," unquote. And also, quote, "Physical illness represents a belief in magic," unquote. So, in order to understand what healing is, we must also understand what sickness is and what A Course in Miracles means by level confusion and the belief in magic. To start, let me summarize our last program titled, "Is Health Natural and an Inherent Attribute in Us?" so that we can tie the ideas from there to the topic for today. We previously looked at Section 1, where it says that health is inner peace and that sickness is some form of external searching for peace. We also saw that the one problem of separation was at the root of our lack of peace, conflict, or energy disturbance, and that accepting the atonement, which entails the practice of forgiveness, allows us to recognize that the separation never occurred, and therefore come to realize that we cannot be anything but whole, divine, and perfect as we were created. The realization that the separation never occurred is the miracle that corrects the misperception that we are a separate ego body that is lacking and sinful. This recognition is healing because it releases the fear that A Course in Miracles says is underneath all fears, namely, that we have usurped the power of God. To believe in separation is to believe we have changed how we were created. And of course, this would require having greater power than God. So now we go to Section 4 in Chapter 2, where A Course in Miracles starts by saying, quote, "Our emphasis is now on healing. The miracle is the means, the atonement is the principle, and healing is the result. To speak of a miracle of healing is to combine two orders of reality inappropriately. Healing is not a miracle. The atonement, or the final miracle, is a remedy, and any type of healing is a result," unquote. So, our attention is on healing, and we are told that the miracle is the means for healing our sickness, but it is not the healing itself. The healing, you could say, is the side effect of the correction that took place in our thinking where the miracle occurred. The miracle undoes misperception in our mind, and any type of healing results. Healing tells us that our mind accepted correction and recognized that we are not separate from our source from which the miracle comes. Healing is not a miracle because the miracle is a thought of God that contains the light of truth. It has the power to correct error. Healing does not contain the light of truth because it is what results from the undoing of error or darkness. The undoing of the darkness is not the light itself. To speak of a miracle of healing would then be combining two orders of reality, because the miracle has reality in truth or at the spiritual level, but sickness and healing only have reality in our mind, being false thoughts or illusion. In the pre-separation condition, we had no need for healing because there was no fear. The belief in separation and fear go together. So until our mind can recognize that the separation is unreal and never happened, and lets that idea go completely, we will need healing because we will be fearful. Now, to understand why sickness results from level confusion, let's go back to what we learned earlier, that health is inner peace, and sickness some form of external searching for peace. If we are seeking for peace externally in the physical world, we must believe we can find it there and not within us. So, we must also be perceiving the cause of our lack of peace outside of us. Even when we recognize that the disturbance to our peace, be it fear, pain, conflict, etc., is experienced within us, we will believe that something separate or in our external situation caused it. This external searching, which is sickness, is the result of confusing the physical level for the thought or mind level, which is the only level that is causal and creative. It is level confusion to search externally because the cause of our lack of peace is misperception, and this error can only occur within us at the thought level. Page 23 of A Course in Miracles says, quote, "We have referred to miracles as the means of correcting level confusion, for all mistakes must be corrected at the level on which they occur. Only the mind is capable of error. The body can act wrongly only when it is responding to misthought." Unquote. To see the physical level of form as being the cause or origin of our problems is to see the external world, our situation, and our body as if they had a mind of their own and were separate from us. This would mean we would be at their mercy. Let me give you an example. Let's say that you're feeling fearful or insecure about your financial future and believe that the cause of feeling this way comes from not making enough money in your job. When you believe this, you are perceiving your external circumstance as the cause of your fear. Will it even occur to you that your thinking might be the cause of your fear? No. Having misperceived where the cause of your fear is, you will not seek inside your mind to release the fear. Your thinking will direct you to the external world to find a solution. So, you conclude that having a higher paying job will solve your problem and release your fear. You then set a goal to be number one in your current sales job so you can get promoted to manager because this position pays more. This is level confusion and will not release your fear nor bring you peace. What you have done is put yourself under more stress in order to compete and be number one, and you are still stuck with the fear of your financial future because your solution to get promoted is also in the future. In level confusion, our mind does not recognize its causal role in how it is experiencing life. It does not see itself as the maker of its own fears. It will see something outside of itself as the cause of its suffering and problems. This includes the belief that our body and what we do has causal or creative power to bring about suffering and hurt in us or others. We come to perceive the body as if it has a mind of its own and is separate from us. Here is another example. My son had been borrowing my daughter's mini trampoline to exercise, and the other day while he was using it, some of the springs broke. He felt guilty and did not say anything to his sister, but told me. He was afraid that what he did, breaking her property, would cause his sister to get angry. The level confusion here can be very hard to see since we have all learned some version of it growing up. Maybe you can recall hearing something like, "If you do that, you will make me very angry." Or, "I did not want to push him, but he made me do it because he called me names." Or, "I don't want to punish you, but your behavior is forcing my hand." Maybe no one even said anything like this, but we clearly saw a connection between what someone did and the reaction from another person that followed. From this, we concluded action causes reaction in the other. And while what someone did may have been the trigger for another person's subconscious reaction, trigger and cause are not the same thing. Or maybe two things happened at the same time a few times, and in our mind, that association meant one caused the other. An association is not a cause either. This is just level confusion because we are believing that what was done at the physical level caused the reaction in someone's mind at the thought level. Page 23 says, quote, "A major step in the atonement plan is to undo error at all levels. Sickness, or not right-mindedness, is the result of level confusion because it always entails the belief that what is amiss on one level can adversely affect another," unquote. What my son was implying when he felt guilty was that his action was going to directly hurt and cause upset in his sister's mind. This implies that what we do, which is at the physical level, is causal, and that it can adversely affect the level of the mind. This misperception does not let him see that it is his sister's mind that chooses how to interpret what happened, and that she can choose the miracle or the grievance in this situation, because the mind is the only creative level where error can be corrected. There's further level confusion here. My son's guilt showed up even before my daughter knew what had happened. So whether she forgave him or condemned him did not even matter. He was believing that the destruction of matter itself has power to condemn and causes him to be guilty. This level confusion also entails the belief in magic, because he's believing that the broken springs have power to miscreate in his mind, to make him guilty. He now believes he is no longer as God created him, but guilty because of those broken strings. Page 23 says, quote, "The body cannot create, and the belief that it can, a fundamental error, produces all physical symptoms. Physical illness represents a belief in magic. The whole distortion that made magic rests on the belief that there is a creative ability in matter which the mind cannot control. This error can take two forms. It can be believed that the mind can miscreate in the body, or that the body can miscreate in the mind. The belief in magic says that matter in and of itself has power to create or miscreate, meaning that it can heal or hurt us. And since there is also level confusion, where we see ourselves as separate from matter, including our body, our mind cannot control the healing or hurt. I have several examples of the belief in magic for you. My mother used to tell me not to drink milk after I ate watermelon, or it would make me sick. I asked her how she knew that, and she said it had happened to a friend of hers. So in her mind, milk had something in itself that caused sickness if eaten with or after eating watermelon. If you accept this as true, you will be afraid that the milk itself has power to hurt you. This is to believe in magic, and this belief will miscreate in the body because we are believing that miscreation is real and giving it the power of our belief. There's another strong belief in magic that is generational in my family, and it has to do with cold temperature. My mother insisted we cover up when we go out into the cold, or we would get a sore throat. Sure enough, my sister would get sick whenever she did not, quote unquote, protect herself from the cold. Some of my some of my nieces still believe they will get sick if they are around someone that has a cold, that they can catch the virus, which has creative power to cause them to get sick too. But they can't explain why they are the only ones to catch the cold when others were around too and did not get sick. My other son had a sore throat, and he felt guilty, believing that because he had not given his body enough rest the night before, his body was now sick and attacking him back. So, the belief that the body can make itself sick when it is not taken care of produced the physical symptom itself. A client of mine was experiencing severe back pain. She had been in a car accident a couple of years back and had been better, but then she claimed that she bent down to fix a board on her fence, and after that, her back started to hurt more. She beat herself up for not taking better care of her already limited and fragile body, which she believed was attacking her with pain now, which of course she could not control since her body was producing the pain on its own. Page 24 says, quote, "All material means that you accept as remedies for bodily ills are restatements of magic principles. This is the first step in believing that the body makes its own illness. It is a second misstep to attempt to heal it through non-creative agents." So, if we assign creative power to matter, it is not different if we believe the substance will benefit us instead of hurt us. The belief in magic is the same, but let me be clear. A Course in Miracles is not saying to not use non-creative agents to attempt to bring healing. Quote, "Sometimes the illness has a sufficiently strong hold over the mind to render a person temporarily inaccessible to the atonement. In this case, it may be wise to utilize a compromise approach to mind and body, in which something from the outside is temporarily given healing belief. This is because the last thing that can help the non-right-minded or the sick is an increase in fear." Unquote, page 24. So, it is okay to take medicine to help bring relief. You do what you know best to do to help yourself out of fear, and that includes seeking professional and medical attention. The conflict that I have seen sometimes, however, arises when the person believes the medicine can help them, but they are also afraid of the side effects. This is like a double-edged sword that places the person in conflict and increases stress and fear. The goal in all healing is the release of fear. So, if you need to take medication to heal or feel safe, release the fears around taking it so you can trust that it will help you in your situation. Page 25 says, quote, "Magic is the mindless or the miscreative use of mind. Physical medications are forms of quote-unquote spells. But if you are afraid to use the mind to heal, you should not attempt to do so. The very fact that you are afraid makes your mind vulnerable to miscreation." Again, our primary task is to release our fears, because they miscreate in our mind. However, we may now be afraid of our thoughts and mind because they can miscreate. But please keep in mind that all miscreation is not real, and that whenever we experience fear, it is precisely because we are believing in something that is unreal. And so, all that fear tells us is that it is time to forgive our misperception, that is bringing up the fear, and let it go. Because in truth, that misperception is not real anyway and has no power to hurt us. A Course in Miracles summarizes its teachings in the preface this way, quote, "Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God," unquote. In recognizing that our miscreations are unreal, we are recognizing our true reality as we were created, and this cannot be threatened. Our mind's miscreations cannot hurt anything that is real because they are unreal. In this knowing, our mind can rest in the peace of God, and we can live in freedom from fear. There is no need to be afraid of the miscreations of our mind. They are not real and can all be corrected and healed by accepting the atonement. Page 25 says, quote, "All forms of not right-mindedness are the result of refusal to accept the atonement for yourself." The sole responsibility of the miracle worker is to accept the atonement for himself. This means you recognize that mind is the only creative level and that its errors are healed by the atonement. Once you accept this, your mind can only heal. By denying your mind any destructive potential and reinstating its purely constructive powers, you place yourself in a position to undo the level confusion of others. The message you then give to them is the truth that their minds are similarly constructive and their miscreations cannot hurt them. By affirming this, you release the mind from over-evaluating its own learning device and restore the mind to its true position as the learner, unquote. Accepting the atonement is critical, and for me, this means that I recognize that the mind is the only creative level, and that if I am afraid, it is because I am misperceiving in error, believing that I have changed myself into something that is weak and vulnerable. And since this is impossible, because I have not usurped the power of God, I simply forgive my misperceptions and then release and let them go. This releases all the fear for me. Sometimes this releasing is done in layers because what is fearful can have different nuances. But I persist until all the fear and all the layers are released. I will be putting this process that I use now for releasing fear on a flowchart on my website, and I will let you know when I have it up. Perhaps this can be helpful to you. And it may even replace the Ramos clearing technique, which does require muscle testing and is more complicated. So with this, I would like to conclude this program. My name is Eloisa Ramos, and I thank you for joining me. And until next time, blessings to everyone.
For more information about EFT, muscle testing, working with Eloisa, and to download a free version of the Ramos clearing technique, visit www.healingwitheft.com.